can see this is a really small little 7x9, and I'm using the Conte here. What I'm doing on this one is the first part of this is I am intentionally making every compositional error I can think of. So this is a lot of wrongness. And then what I'm going to do in the second part here is I'm going to fix those compositional errors. So as we go, please be bold and type in anything that you see that's like, hey, wait a second, what's he doing there? And then we'll talk about how to fix them. So this at least gets you a sense of, this is roughly how I would block in a pastel in the field or in the studio. Okay, so there's a little clue there in what I was doing with my fingers. So can you see that right now the right bank and the left bank are equally weighted? Okay. I've got a tree on the top right that's just really tall, awkwardly coming right off the top. I've got 3 little trees that are almost the same. Anybody else see anything yet?
Said diagonal lines are too close in angle.
What's that?
Oh, diagonal lines are too close in angle.
Yeah, we've got a lot of sameness in the diagonals. And you'll see this more as it develops. This right here is how I normally would start, putting in color. So when I think about when I'm starting to lay in color, I look for big, broad pieces of color, and I'm looking to start just color that makes sense. So when I'm looking at a reference, whether it's photo reference or I'm in the field, it might be just just so you can see the dark banks of trees here.
Okay, someone said it looks like your focal point is in the exact center.
Yep.
And and also the midground is right on the center of the paper, so it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah. So the peak is right at the center, or just about at the center, and then between land and it's going to be water at the bottom is almost exactly the same. So I'm not fixing it at this point. Okay, a couple other things that I can see developing here that are very problematic. You can see that right bank and the left bank that I'm putting in right now. They're both equally weighted. They're both almost identical shapes. Look also at the shadow in that peak, in that main peak back there. It is very isolated. The shape of the mountains, the blue mountains on the left, you see how there's a cliff on the left there that goes almost straight up, and it's at the same angle as the tree on the left. They're almost exactly the same angle. That is a real problem. And then also, if you notice here, this is a small thing. I've got that tall tree on the right, and the reflection, look at the reflection coming down. So there's the tall tree, almost the one that goes off the top, not all the way right, but almost all the way to the right, that goes off the top. And look at the reflection down on the left. Can you see how they don't actually match up? So the reflection on the left, the reflection, sorry, not on the left, the reflection of that tree is a little bit to the left. So sometimes if you're doing reflections on a picture, if you're using a photo reference, sometimes you can just turn the photo reference and you're painting upside down, and it makes it a little easier. So,
question here.
Yeah.
What is the advantage of a Conte versus a hard pastel, like new pastel for sketching in?
Oh, sorry. I'm seeing you guys are making more comments, because I was at the top of the comment bar and I'm like, wow, no one's anyone. Yeah, diagonal lines are, sorry, I will get to that. Diagonal lines are too close in angle. Yep. Looks like the focal point is in the exact center, mid-ground, right on the center of the paper, exactly. Advantage of sketching of a Conte versus a hard pastel, like new pastel. New pastel works just as well. New pastel, Conte, they would be identical, basically. So it's whatever you want to use there. I just like having something harder like that because it's it doesn't, like a vine charcoal, some of the color it can make the color a little dirty. Okay. But see those three right there? They are the finger, if someone says finger, those trees look like fingers. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
No, blend with your fingers.
Oh, blend with your finger. Oh, I see. How do you decide when to blend with your finger? Finger. Okay. That is a good question. Blending is something I am very, very careful with. I will blend with my finger or sometimes with a stump. Usually it's to soften edges. I find that if you blend too much, it will kill the intensity of the color. So you want to be really careful not to blend too much. It dulls down the color. Sometimes it can be nice in clouds and in skies to blend, because you do want to soften up that color. And sometimes you have a color that is a little too intense, and so blending will knock it down a little bit. I find that layering up the pastel, I'll do 3 or 4 different layers of pastel at any given point. I find that layering tends to do its own blending. Okay, now you notice a couple other things as we're going here. You're like, wow, I paid to watch him do a really bad painting. You can see the cloud off the top of that peak. See how that cloud just hits right at the peak there? And then there's another cloud that mirrors it off to the left of the peak that's almost exactly the same as well. So you want to be careful of that symmetry there. Okay, so now I've gone through, and now I'm starting to, I took a brush and brushed off some of the pastel so that I could get back to the paper a little bit. This paper is a little bit tricky. I used a UArt 400 grit that for some reason the surface wasn't great. So I struggle a little bit in this with the layering. So you can see that they're off to the left. Yeah, I'm just brushing off some pastel. There's a really steep angle on that blue hill that just is driving me crazy. So I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm going to start off with my peak because I've decided on this one that the mountain area is really important to me. So I'm just taking a neutral color here and putting that in. And now, one of the things that I was thinking about when I was doing this is spending the time up front, really working your design is so beneficial because this is extra hard. What I'm doing right here, the whole time I was doing this, I was thinking, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. I might have to scrap this. And partly just because of the mechanics of trying to layer up pastel over those colors that I'd already put down. Just was really, it was really hard because I've already got all these layers of pastel on the paper. So trying to pastel my way out of a hole is just, it's hard. Any thoughts on that from you guys? I need some more comments. Okay, so I'm going to try to bring up some mountain ridges that are behind here.